and lime juice. You can also make a White Russian. Mix it with heavy cream and Kahlua, and then you just like the Big Lebowski. That's a nice sort of creamy, that's potent as well. It goes down a treat because it's so creamy, but it also knocks the socks off you. Martini, of course. You can have a vodka martini if you want to live the Bond life. Just shots of. It's great for shotting as well. Shots of vodka if you're trying to liven stuff up. I'd say a decent quality vodka is a necessity. If you can, store it in the freezer. If not, absolutely fine on the shelf. It's fun to pull it out the freezer at a house party and then pour everyone some shots and then mix up some martinis. You're like the Don if you do that. So.
Absolutely, mate. 100%. If you walk out of your kitchen mid, festivities with a tray or, a couple of vodka martinis in hand, that's you're the boss from that point on. Nothing you can do could go wrong from there.
Even if it's not your house, you're the gaffer.
Exactly, especially if it's not your house. You've managed to find the ingredients for this, and it's so easy to make as well. But I tell you what, with a martini is important though. You have to get a good glass.
Yes, true.
Because I've made some decent tasting martinis, but I haven't got a good martini glass or carafe or anything that's decent to hold and look at. They're just all of my cocktails actually so far have been pretty ugly to look at, and I'll just say it. I just don't have the glassware, so that's sort of a side note. Maybe buy a couple of decent looking glasses, because it does actually make a difference to me anyway.
Big time. Yeah, it's the whole experience, isn't it? The thing is, making cocktails, it's sort of an experience that you can develop over time, right? If you buy a few martini glasses here, a few crystal tumblers here for your scotch, a few X, Y, and Z, a few highballs for your gin and tonics here.
Sure.
You can just accumulate it over time. It's that sort of thing. And then after 5 years, you realise you've got a whole drinks cabinet full of all the stuff and all the glasses and everything, and you can have a great time. Just accumulate over time.
Yeah, just get an empty cupboard somewhere if you've got one, and just start using that as your storage. And eventually, it will just be filled with stuff, and you'll just think, "Oh, I fancy one of these," and you'll always have it.
Yeah,
because these bottles are going to last forever, unless you're apart from maybe the vodka, the gin, and the whiskey, because obviously they're the main bases. Like I say, they're going to go through, but the other everything else we've mentioned will last forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so I, even though I've got the last pick, if you disagree with this, because I feel like this is going to be a hot pick, because we've got 3 great bases, we've got bitters.
Yeah.
So if you want to add something to this, please do. But for me, if I had my whiskey, my gin, my vodka, and I've got bitters, what I would want in my cupboard with that, and I'd be really happy as a good starting sort of spot for cocktails, would be something like a Campari or Aperol.
Yes. Yeah. So
either one. Probably Campari, but Aperol was basically the same, but just a weaker version. Just because, again, it just is. It's not quite as ubiquitous as the Angostura bitters, but it's in a lot of cocktails, and it's a really interesting flavour. It's the bitterest thing I've ever tasted in my entire life. If you've ever had it neat, because I did this. I basically went through this a while ago, and I bought all this stuff. I bought my vermouth, and I've bought my mains, my bases rather, and I had a Campari, and I went through each one to taste it neat, just because I wanted to know what it tasted like. And the Campari, dude, is brutally bitter. But it's so interesting, and like I say, it makes cocktails. It makes so many different ones. Negronis is probably the big one that obviously we talk about, but there's loads of them.
Mate, I'm so with you. I was hoping you'd say that. I'm a massive Campari fan. Yeah, I love it.
Sure.
Yeah, like you're saying, Campari or Aperol would sort of both do the trick, I guess. But I'm definitely in the Campari camp, right?
Sure.
So
sure.
Negroni is your main one, like you say. But my dad's favourite drink, and if we're talking cocktails, is a Campari and orange. So a double Campari, and then just top it up with as much orange as you want, right, over ice. And this drink is fantastic, right? It's not it's not crazy strong, but it's still a nice sort of like early evening drink. If you go into one of these swanky bars, a Campari and orange will be pretty cheap, and you'll still feel great, and it tastes fantastic. I actually went to Hong Kong with my dad, maybe it would have been 10 years ago, right?
Wow.
10 years ago, and we got there super jet lagged, like went out, ate some chicken's feet, came back to the hotel. Right, we had enough of this local crazy Hong Kong vibe, and we went back to the hotel, and it was all swanky and nice and glass and marble and all this.
Yeah.
And went back to the bar. My dad ordered us 2 of these Campari and orange, and I was like, "What's this?" And he told me what it was, and I was sipping this, looking out on the harbour, lights twinkling. There's one of those old junks, the boats. The Chinese boats that's like the old-fashioned sailboats, whatever. That was sailing by, sipping this cocktail. One of the best nights. So good. So I've got a bit of a soft spot for the old Campari. So I completely second your point for sure.
Oh, fantastic! Good, man. That's a good-looking cocktail bar we just made there.
Big
we've
time.
hit a lot of bases.
I reckon we could add a little extra on, right? If you've already, if you've already gone out and you've spent 25 quid on this, 20 quid on this, 30 quid on this, you're already in for at least 100 quid, right? So you may as well go down the aisle that's right at the end that's got all the extras, your soda waters, your tonic waters, your ginger beers, your ginger ales, those sort of things, and just get a bit of an assortment, right? In my fridge, I've just got a section of the fridge that's just got those things in it. Tonics, sodas, ginger beers, a couple of, can or two of Coke, just the extras, basically. The mixers. That's the word I'm looking for. Mixers.
Sure. Yeah.
So get a few mixers in there as well, and jobs are good. And because they're cheap as chips, and they're, they're what people usually don't have. They go out and buy a bottle of vodka and come back and why can't I make a cocktail? It's like, it's because you forgot the X, Y, and Z, the extra little bits. So they're the cheap bits. Go out and have a bit of an assortment of that, especially if you're having a party or something.
Yeah, for sure. And I think people appreciate it as well. So okay, you could disagree or agree with me here, but let's say you're inviting a load of people around.
Yep.
And that a couple of them aren't big drinkers, they don't drink a lot, or if they do, they're drinking lager or whatever. They're not cocktail drinkers, let's say that. But you've said, listen, guys, it's a martini night or a mesneg night or whatever we were having that a while ago.
Yeah.
And right, I've brought these things just to try out, see what you think. People will love it because it's something that you've taken all the pressure off of them having to think about what they're drinking that night, and even if they're not massive drinkers, they're still going to have a really enjoyable experience with that. And you'll feel like a boss because you've been the host and you're giving all these great drinks out. You've only had to buy 3 bottles of things, and they'll last well past that evening.
Yeah.
And I think it adds so much to an evening if you want to do that, rather than have offer anyone anything they want. You can just sort of drastically reduce the options they've got, maybe to 1 or 2 drinks, but they'll still love it. They're still gonna have a good time. I think that's huge. Another thing I would say as well, don't skimp on the garnish. So especially with fruit, orange or lemon, that kind of stuff, lime.
Yeah,
it adds actually a lot of the flavour with the drink as well, which people don't realise. Especially if you, so what you normally do? Say if you have a lemon twist or something, you obviously, I don't know, use a potato peeler or something to get your lemon twist off, or whatever you use, and then you actually squeeze the lemon skin, which actually if you actually look at a lemon skin as you've peeled it off and squeeze it, it's insane how much oil just bursts out of this thing. And it'll go onto the drink. Obviously you don't waste that, use that onto the drink, and then you put it in, you'll notice a massive lemony flavour, especially for those first few sips at least. So don't skimp on that. You might think that's not something you need, but I would, if you can, get whatever it says in the recipe, a twist of lemon or orange or whatever. For sure.
Especially if it's a cocktail that's got mint in it. That is a very, very vital ingredient.
It's extremely important, yeah.
Do not skip on the mint.
A mintless mojito would be...
Oh, Jesus. Or a mint julep. It'd just be a julep. It wouldn't be... Oh, dear. Fantastic. I think we can definitely put the gavel down on that.
100% on that, yeah.
100% agreement. I think it's time.
I think it might be. Oh, she's working her way up. Bless her. She had her jab the other day, so she's not feeling too hot.
At least we're safe to be in the pod, though. Is that right?
Yeah.
What did George call her? What was her name? Sandra, Julie. What was her name?
Jesus, I think we called her. We think we might have called her
Karen.
Karen? No, it wasn't Karen. We didn't call her that.
What was it?
Poor cat. Julie. Got to be Julie. Let's call her Julie. She's Julie now.
Yeah.
Cheers, Julie.
Last orders. She's gone high society, drinking Manhattans in the ye old Prince's Elbow. Oh dear. So I thought we could do with a laugh, right? If you've had a tough week, I can see you've got your relaxing clothing on, you're drinking your Doom Bar. So for this week's pub quiz, I've gone for British comedy quiz. Right, so this is all classic British comedy. I'm talking Office. I'm talking Only Fools and Horses. I'm talking Dibley. You know the lot. They're always on a Channel 4 greatest comedies of all time sort of thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so get in that mindset.
Okay,
Here we go. Question 1. In The Office, what is the name of the paper company David Brent works for? It's Wernham Hogg.
Wernham Hogg it is. You know what? I get mixed up with the American one though. Which is Dunder Mifflin.
I've not seen it.
The missus loves it, and she watched the entire thing as she does, and I never watch them all with her when she does that. Yeah, because I'm normally doing other stuff. But it is good. It's very different and nowhere near as good as the English one, to be fair. But there's just about 8 times more of it.
Right, yeah.
It's like 10 seasons of it.
Most American things. Not quite as good, but copious quantities.
Exactly.
I'm gonna be a classic English bloke and just be like, not seen it, but I still don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care. I'm not going to watch it. I'm just going to diss it and say that the English one is better because that's what I do, right?
Great idea.
Wernham Hogg. I'm confident.
Yeah,
Question 2. What is the name of the actor who plays Manuel in Fawlty Towers?
Oh, Christ. No,
he was the bloke that got into a bit of a situation with Russell Brand a few years ago, right? Didn't Russell Brand make some jokes about his daughter? And this was perhaps one of the first, like, cancel culture things.
Really?
Because, do you not remember this? Maybe... No. God, between 5 and 10 years ago, Russell Brand was on a podcast, and he made a bit of a joke about this actor's daughter or something, and got into a whole load of.
What did he say about her?
I can't remember. I can't remember.
Tell me off the air, mate. It's fine.
I genuinely can't remember. Something crude, basically, about this guy's daughter, and then. It all kicked off, basically. I think his name was David something. That's all I can remember.
I'm assuming he's English and he's not actually, like, Spanish.
I think you're right, yeah. I wouldn't put money on it, but I think he's English.
That's the kind of thing we'd do back then.
Yeah. That's acting, isn't it? He's acting.
It is acting.
Spanish.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that at all. I don't know why I even mentioned that. God, let's just we'll not get into it.
It's David something. I think it begins with S. David
Smith, mate. Just play the numbers. David Smith.
Great. I'll go with you on that. I'll trust you. Question 3: which English county is the Vicar of Dibley based? The question should be in which English county.
We should get a point for correcting them.
Terrible grammar from mylondon.news/whatson/comedy news/20 British comedy quiz /questions. If anyone wants to get the answers before.
I'm thinking it's Dorset or some sort of farmery place, right? So I'm thinking maybe Norfolk.
You're wrong.
Dorset, Somerset.
No, you're wrong.
I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I'm wrong. What am I?
Because I rewatched it recently, and it is Oxfordshire.
Oxfordshire? Really?
Yeah. It's on the way out to Oxfordshire.
Fair play. Go for it.
Hang on. What's the one between London and Oxfordshire? Is it Buckinghamshire?
Yes. Wait.
Driving home to Oxford.
Yeah.
What is it? It's
equidistant.
Just up between London and Oxford. It's because I watched it recently and I was like, oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? But then you see the credits and it's got that massive, You know, when you're driving on the M40 out of London towards Oxford or Birmingham, you're on the M40.